Hi again, Mark Norton here in Truro. Now, just over 5 weeks after my own H1 ceramic hip resurfacing. In this episode, we're going to talk about the logistics. That's getting the practical things sorted so that surgery day, your trip home, and the first few days at home go as smoothly as possible. From my own experience and from seeing thousands of patients over the years, the people who prepare these basics in advance have a much easier time in the first few weeks. It makes a real difference to your risk of getting an early complication, which can really set you back, especially in the first week when mobility is definitely limited and you don't want to be fumbling for things. So firstly, let's start with your home setup before you even go in. Falling over and injuring yourself at home is one of the most common early complications after hip surgery. It can cause fractures, dislocations, or severe delays in recovery. This often happens when somebody just stumbles or catches their foot, or they can't manage their own stairs safely. This just doesn't happen to people who have got great muscle function, but for those who have become deconditioned, it's a very real risk. So as I said in earlier episodes, the stronger you are when you go into hospital, the stronger you will be when you come out. You need to make a big effort on that. Your pre-assessment therapies team should have already worked out where you are on that scale and advised you what they think you will need at your home. But if they haven't and you think you may need extra support, get it sorted out yourself. So make your home safer. And the key items are walking aids, so crutches or a walker. Your physio should have assessed what you're going to need and should have also taught you how to use them. If they haven't, they'll teach you when you're in hospital. Be aware that some private hospitals will actually charge you extra for these items. So if you already have them, take them in with you. A shower, chair, or a bench. You won't be able to climb in and out of a bath for at least the first 4 weeks after your surgery, and you shouldn't be soaking your wound before that time anyway. So sort out a shower at your home. It's initially safer to sit while you're washing to avoid fainting or slipping. So organize a shower chair before you go in for surgery. This can just be a plastic stool or a garden chair if it fits into your shower, and a handheld shower head helps as well. Grab bars and handrails. So if you're struggling to get up and down stairs or stand up before your surgery, it's going to be even harder for the first couple of weeks afterwards. If that's the case, you may need to get these things fitted. So consider getting them put into your bathroom, next to the toilet and in the shower, and up and down your stairs. They're quite cheap and can be removed later if you don't like the look of them. We've got steep stairs and didn't have handrails before my surgery, so I fitted them and they've been really helpful. They actually look quite good, so they're staying. My mother-in-law appreciates them being there when she visits, so yeah, they're there for good. Raised toilet seat. So this is going a bit out of vogue in most hospitals, so discuss with your physio whether a raised toilet seat is really necessary for you. We tend not to use them anymore. For people who are assessed as having a higher than usual risk of dislocating their new hip, they are still advised. They reduce the bend that's needed to sit down and stand up, so they reduce the strain on the stitches that are holding your new hip together. If you'll be at home on your own, you need to be even better prepared. You need to stock easy meals and snacks, frozen meals, ready-to-eat protein, fruits, nuts. You won't be able to stand cooking much at first, so get that organized. Get it all set up about 2 weeks before your surgery. It might feel a little bit like overkill at the time, but it'll save you a lot of hassle. Okay, so the next section is what to pack. So I actually recorded what I took in. You're not going on a cruise, so you don't need an enormous bag. A cabin bag size should be more than enough, and wheeled bags are better. Your nurse who helps you to get to your ride home will really appreciate not having to carry it down the corridor for you. For the hospital bag itself, keep it simple. Most stays are short, often 1 or 2 nights at most, and even a day case sometimes for resurfacing, so pack quite light. The essentials. You need a form of identification, so your passport or driving license, you need your appointment letter, and you need your pre-op paperwork. If your surgeon gave you a consent form to take home to read fully, you need to remember to take that in with you, and you can sign it before you go in. A list of medication, including doses and times, and any allergies. I actually took my own medication bag in with me, as well as the painkillers I was on, to avoid getting a whole lot more that I wouldn't need once I was past the first couple of weeks. Okay, so what about clothes? Well, comfortable clothes. So loose-fitting pajamas or tracksuit bottoms, but try and avoid having a zip at the bottom. Non-slip slippers or shoes with good grip. Again, no laces or zips, just slip-ons. Front opening top if you've got shoulder issues. You don't want to be struggling to get in and out of those. So a book, your phone, charger, Kindle, iPad, headphones. So boredom and waiting are real. You will be waiting around for long periods of time. So have things to keep you busy and not get bored. Taking your glasses, hearing aids, and any other small comforts which you often use, like an eye mask or earplugs to help you get sleep better at night. Small amount of cash or card for vending machines or parking. Some hospitals charge. Guidelines from the British Hip Society and NICE recommend flat, supportive shoes for early rehabilitation, nothing heeled or flimsy. Leave valuables like jewelry or expensive watches at home. Hospitals are pretty safe, but there's no need to take any risks on it. Transport, right, so arrange reliable lifts or taxis for your trip in and for your discharge. Most hip resurfacing patients only stay 1 or maybe 2 nights, and some even go home on the same day, but you can't drive yourself for at least 6 weeks. Arrange to have somebody stay with you on your first night home if it's possible. Lots of people are traveling longer distances to get to the right person to do their resurfacing at the moment. I don't have any problem with people traveling, but this needs even more attention to detail. I personally had a 7-hour trip home after my surgery, so I needed to be organized. You don't want to seize up or risk getting swollen or a blood clot. Evidence shows that the risk of a deep vein thrombosis, a DVT, or a pulmonary embolism, which is a blood clot in your lung, is highest in the first 4 to 6 weeks after hip surgery, and that this is due to immobility, swelling, and inflammation. Long distance travel, especially flights over 4 to 6 hours, adds to this risk because of prolonged sitting, dehydration, and cabin pressure changes. Guidelines from NICE recommend avoiding long-haul flights for at least 3 months after hip replacement or resurfacing, and many surgeons advise waiting at least 6 weeks for any kind of air travel. Short flights may be safer sooner with precautions, but the general consensus is to minimize the risk by staying local if you can. So I had 7 hours in the car. I used proper full leg compression trousers, additional calf compression sleeves, and a wireless air pump full leg compression system all the way home in the car, and I had absolutely no swelling from that trip at all, so it can be done. Compression stockings or intermittent pneumatic devices are supported by evidence to reduce DVT risk during travel after surgery. Studies show that they improve your circulation and lower clot formation when combined with movement breaks and hydration. If you're flying home, this is even more important as your risk of blood clots is even higher, as I've said. I advise my patients who are flying in for surgery to stay local to me for the first 7 days so that we can check them over before they leave, check that their wound's fine, and have another session with our physios before they go home. So I packed exactly as I've shown you, and it made the whole process much calmer for me. Simple preparation like this really does pay off. It lets you focus on your recovery instead of scrambling around looking for things. So the next episode is the big day, the day of your surgery. What happens and why it happens. I'll try and take the mystery out of it for you so you know what's going to come your way. And it includes clips from my actual experience on the day. If you've got any packing tips or questions about home setup, drop them in the comments. Share it, like it, and subscribe it if the series is helping you. As always, discuss everything with your own doctor or your hospital team. Your personal situation may be different from mine. I'll see you next time. Take care.